Lamed Hamid Beis. We have Shemen Shalahen on the bottom. Shemen. So we said that the Shemen Akam is going to be Aser. Rav Amar, what's the reason that Shemen Akam is Aser? So Rav Amar, Daniel Gazer Alav. Ushmuel Amar, Shmuel says, Zlifasan Shal Kelim Tmeim Osrasan. So Rav says it's because of the Gezerah. What's the Gezerah? What's the Gezerah? Mishum Chasnus. If you eat their oil, you come to marry them. And Shmuel says, no, it's because of the emission of Kelim Tmeim Osrasan. They put their oil into their Kelim Tmeim, and the Kelim Tmeim are going to have bliyas of Tumah in them. And when you put the oil in them, the Tumah is going to go into the oil, and now when you, the Jew, eat the oil, you're going to become Tameh. Says the Gemara, Atu Kule Alma Ochle Taros. And what are you talking about? Jews don't all eat Tara. Yes, maybe the Kohanim, maybe some people are careful not to eat Tumah, but not everybody's careful to eat Tumah. So all of a sudden we're going to be gozer on Shemen Akam because of Tumah. I eat a lot of things that are Tameh. Says the Gemara, you're right. Elos Lipasan Shal Kelim Asurin Osrasan. It's not that we're worried they're going to put them into Tameh dishes. We're worried they're going to put them into Oser dishes. They're going to put them into dishes that have Basar B'chalav or pig in them. And then the taste of the pig is going to get into the oil. And then the oil that you eat as a Jew is going to be oil that's Aser. So it's either because of the Gzera of Chasnus, of marrying them, that's Rav. Or Shmuel says because the fact that it's going to contain or possibly contains non-kosher food.
In other words, this isn't fresh oil. This isn't one-time use oil. This is oil that's reused.
No, what are you talking about?
How could you end up with pig in your oil if...
One second. The avodah zara the same way that you don't cook at home with a fleshik thing for milchiks. It's a pot. So they go ahead and they make chazir in their pot, and 10 minutes later they go ahead and they boil oil in their pot, and then they sell the oil to you.
Oh, so they're selling you oil that was
boiled in a tray pot.
Okay.
Yeah, they're selling oil. They're not necessarily putting oil. We're not necessarily afraid. It sounds like that they're putting pig in there because they want to have 100% pure olive oil, and you'll be able to tell, etc. We're not worried about snakes. But at the end of the day, we're worried that they're boiling it in a pot that was used for treif. Says Gemara Shmuel the Rav. So Shmuel says to Rav, Bishlama ledidi again. Shmuel who holds that it's because we're worried about treif. Bishlama ledidi damina zlifasan shal kelim hasurin osrasan hainu dechiyasa Rav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Masav Amar Darish Rav Simlai ben Nitzivin Shemen Rabbi Yehuda Beis Dino Nimnu Alavi Tiru Kisavar No Saint Tam Liv Gam Mutter. It's clear, and we had this the other day. It's clear that Shemen was made aser, and then later on. Rebbe Ubeis Dino, it seems like, Rabbi Yehuda and his Beis Din said it's mutter. So we know, as we'll see in a second, that you can't just change a gezerah. So he's saying, according to me, it makes sense, because according to me, we're not changing any gezerahs. It means we said you can't eat Shemen Akam. The reason you can't eat Shemen Akam is not based on a gezerah of chatnus. According to you, it's a gezerah of chasnus. You can't just come along and one day say, well, we're not worried about intermarriage anymore. That you can't change. But according to me, the whole Isser was what? The whole Isser was based on the halacha, right? There's a difference between questioning a gezerah and questioning a halacha.
Treif pots.
The whole thing was based on treif pots.
Yeah.
But we know that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi comes along and says that the halacha of a treif pot being treif is not right. And really the halacha is wrong in the sense that what? No sein tam liv gam is mutter. For those that have learned basar b'chalav. So you know that if you call a rabbi, or if the wife calls a rabbi, it's always because the husband did something. But if either the husband will call or the wife will call that their husband did something. So you take a fleshik spoon and you put it into your cup of coffee and you mix your cup of coffee with milk and everything. Yeah. So the first question the rabbi should always ask is not necessarily hot or cold. You assume that your coffee's cold, fine. You're right. You should ask if it's hot or cold, but let's assume that you're telling them you have a hot cup of coffee. So the first question we'll ask is that spoon that you're calling fleshiks. So what was it? So was that spoon used in the last 24 hours? Was it Eino Ben Yoma or Ben Yoma? Why? Because we hold that if the spoon was used in the last 24 hours, then we hold that it really has blios. Again, you don't see, even if you wash it off, you don't see any fleshiks on it. If you used it last night for dinner for your chicken soup, we assume that there's fresh chicken soup in the metal. And when you go ahead and you put it into your coffee, so now the fresh chicken soup came into the coffee, the coffee is going to be ruined, the soup, everything's going to be ruined, the cup's going to be ruined, and the spoon will be ruined. Either way, the spoon, you always have to kasha regardless, even if it hasn't. But what we ask you is because if it hasn't been used in 24 hours, then we hold of this idea of Rabbi Yehuda, no sein tam lifgam. The chicken soup after 24 hours becomes no longer chicken soup. It becomes disgusting taste. No sein tam lifgam. It gives off a bad taste because it's been sitting in the spoon for 24 hours. Yeah. When you take that and you mix it, So now you're putting in basically nothing into the coffee. You're putting in bad chicken soup, which is no longer fleishiks. It has a bad taste. It's a spoiled taste. It goes into the parv category. Therefore, your coffee will be fine. Your cup will be fine. The spoon, we need to go ahead and still kosher because the spoon now has blios of coffee in it. And now you want to use it, and we make a gzeira that, yes, you could really wait 24 hours and then use it again for chicken soup, but we don't want you to start doing that and start using your spoons and start clocking everything and saying, okay, I'm going to use the chicken soup, and then I can use it for my coffee in 25 hours. So the spoon will have to be kosher by dropping it into a boiling pot of water. That's our Basa B'chol lesson for today. But the point is that Rabbi Yehuda came along and says, no sein stam lifgam is mutter. So Yehuda says, no sein stam lifgam is mutter. That means that they're arguing on the halacha. You originally fell, no sein stam lifgam, that the Mitzvah says that that's really chicken soup after 24 hours. And we're saying no sein dam lifgam is mutter. So we're not uprooting the gzeira because we don't like the gzeira anymore, because we're saying the reason doesn't apply anymore, like Yontif Sheni. We're not saying the reason doesn't apply, so we can't uproot the gzeira. That's only when you want to just uproot the gzeira, l'shem uprooting the gzeira, saying it doesn't apply anymore, we're not marrying them, fine. That's separate. According to me, it's fine, because according to me, we're questioning the halachic basis. And if we're arguing on the halacha, then by definition, if the reason for the gzeira of shemen akum is because of the halacha, and that halacha doesn't apply, because we assume that when they cook their oil, they're not cooking it in vats that have been used within 24 hours. They're not cooking their pig and then cooking it right away, because they also care about the taste coming out. And therefore, we can assume that anything that they cook their oil in will be from a week ago, from 2 weeks ago, whatever. Therefore, anything that comes into the pot will be mutter, and therefore, shemen akum will not be. There's a whole discussion, lechatchila, should we be cooking like this? We don't cook lechatchila. We don't use the same pots and pans again lechatchila. But again, if it was done b'diavad, or if it was done by a non-Jew, maybe it would be okay. So at the end of the day, according to me, which Rav Simlai says that Rabbi Yehuda paskin that no sein dam lifgam is mutter, then everything is fine. It makes sense that Lamaisa, the reason that it was Asr in the first place was because of no sein dam lifgam is Asr, and it makes sense that they were able to overturn that. Ela l'didach to Amar Daniel Gazer alav. According to you, who says that it was because of Chasnos and Daniel said it's Asr, Daniel Gazer v'Asr Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya mevatale v'hatanan ein bezin yachol levatal divrei bezin chaver alim ken gadol imenu b'chachmo v'minyan. They clearly Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was not greater b'chachmo v'minyan than Daniel. So according to you, how could they go ahead and get rid of that gzeira? Amarle Simlai Luda Ka'amart. You're quoting Rabbi Simlai, and you're claiming that Rabbi Simlai says that Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya got rid of this Gezerah. Shani Luda de Mazalzalu. Rabbi Simlai and those Ludaim, they're all Mazalzalu, they're all Mazalzel. You can't rely on them. It's probably not true. Rabbi Yehuda probably never got rid of the ban, or he never got rid of the ban on shemen akum, and he still holds its aser. Those people are just treating the Rabbanams lightly. That's what he said about Rabbi Simlai. Says the Gemara, Amar Lei. So Shmuel says to Rav,
Rabbi Simlai wasn't a Jew. He was a Ludian.
He was a Ludian. He was Jewish. He was Jewish. He was Jewish. They're just saying that those Jews from Lud.
Oh, so all the guys from Lud.
No, he's just claiming that the guys from Lud are not so into D'Rabbanans. They're not so careful about D'Rabbanans.
It's the airport.
That's what Rav says. So again, Shmuel says, according to me, it makes sense. Rav says, how can you go ahead and listen to the Ludians? They're not so careful with the Rabbanans. Amar Lei, so Shmuel says back to him, Shalach Lei, do you want me to go ahead and tell Rabbi Simlai what you said about him? Ichsif. He got embarrassed and he quieted down and he said, I guess not. So Amar Rav, so Rav says, so what exactly is Rav going to answer? If in fact Rabbi Yehuda Nesiya did change Gzeira, what's Rav going to say? Rav says that he basically made a mistake. Imheim lo dorshu, anan lo dorshinan. Just because Rabbi Yehuda ignored the pasuk, we're going to ignore the pasuk. V'achsiv vayasem Daniel al libo asher lo yiskael bepas bag hamelach uveyayin mishtav b'shtei mishtav zakasim medaber echad mishtei yayin ve'echad mishtei shemen. Very interesting. So what's he doing here? It sounds like Rashi. In Rabbi Yehuda Hanasi lo darash es hamikra lahavin shedaniel gazer alav v'saver de beidina achrina gazer alav mishum zlifas kelim v'sharia. That means it sounds like, again, according to Rabbi Yehuda, what's happening here? I oversimplified a little bit. Rabbi Yehuda's coming along and saying no sein dam livgam is mutter, and therefore, what's the reason that shemen akum is aser? Because of the fact that it is chasnas. But he says, Rav says back, like, Belamaisa, how can you ignore the fact that Daniel made a gzeira? You're assuming that the whole thing is based on no sein dam livgam being mutter. No, Daniel came along, and Daniel clearly made a gzeira in a pasuk in Tanakh, and said you cannot eat shemen akum. So regardless of whether you like the reason of nosin dam levgam or not, whether you're going to go ahead and you're going to argue that really nosin dam levgam is mutter, and lemaisa therefore you can eat shemen akum, but maybe there was another reason. I'm just again oversimplifying, but maybe there's another reason that Daniel made the gzera. Lemaisa, you have a pasuk that says that Daniel made a gzera. It's not like some rabbi came along and paskin da halacha, and now you're going out and saying, well, he's wrong. Nosin dam levgam is not actually usher, it's mutter. You have Daniel in Tanakh who paskin, who made a gzera that lemaisa you have to go ahead and you can't eat shemen akum. So you want to say, well, it was based on nosin dam levgam being usher, and now nosin dam levgam is. Read the pasuk. Daniel made a gzera. You have no right to change that gzera.
Who's the king? Nebuchadnezzar?
That I don't know. Yasam Daniel aliba. I would think so. Asher lo yizgol bepas bagam melach uveyayin mishtav. They won't be defiled with the bread of the melach and the yayin of mishtav in plural. Bishtei mishtavos hakasam medaber. Echad mishta yayin ve'echad mishta shemen. Daniel clearly said you're not allowed to go ahead and have yayin or shemen. Rav savar. So what's the machlokes? Rav savar al libo sam ulechol Yisrael hora. Ushmuel savar al libo sam ulechol Yisrael lo hora. So it's interesting. It sounds like Shmuel agrees. If there was a gzera by Daniel, then there's nothing to talk about. Shmuel holds there actually wasn't a gzera by Daniel. That Daniel went ahead and he was gozer for himself, but not for all the Jewish people. Rav says he was gozer for himself and the Jewish people, and therefore you can never get rid of it. So Rav says that Daniel was gozer for himself and the Jewish people, and therefore you can never get rid of it. Whatever the reason is, even if you want to argue nosin dam lefgam, mutter usher, but maybe that's not the reason. At the end of the day, you can't get rid of it. Seemingly it's because of chasnus. And at the end of the day, Shmuel says he wasn't gozer at all. He was only gozer on himself. Therefore, it's not because of chasnus. So what's the reason? It's because of the fact that it's going to be kalim asurim, and then again you can go ahead and you can undo it. I'm sorry, Rav had nothing to do with the kalim asurim. Rav says it's because of chasnus, and Shmuel says it's because of kalim asurim. So again, according to Rav, that it's for chasnus, you can not go ahead and overturn it. According to Shmuel, that's because of kalim asurim. Then, and it wasn't that Daniel was goes there. Therefore, you can go ahead and you can overturn it.
In the pasuk, Daniel doesn't use the word shemen, though, right?
No,
I mean,
no, they're making a drasha mishtaos. They're making a drasha mishtaos.
Right. So I'm saying, in other words, in terms of uprooting any, it's not that he was gozer in.
So he's learning that he was gozer.
He was gozer. But I'm saying the lashon of shemen. He never used the lashon of shemen.
Wine and
no, but
else.
Again, the Gemara, Rav is learning that he was gozer. He was gozer mishtaos. He was gozer. He got up in public and said, "You're not allowed to eat shemen akum because of chasnus." Says the Gemara. So again, Rav says you can't eat shemen akum because of chasnus. Shmuel says you can't eat shemen akum because of iser as being part of it. And Lamaisa, therefore, Shmuel says that Rabbi Yehuda Nasi, who says that nosin tam lefgam is mutter, can actually come and overturn the gzera, while according to Rav, you cannot overturn the gzera. With Shemen Daniel Gazer, is it true that Daniel was gozer? V'amar Bali. Here's Bali. Bali avimi nuta mishmei derav. Pitan ushmanan yenan uvnosan kula mishmona sardavarhin. It sounds like it wasn't Daniel was gozer. We know that there were 18 things the Gemara and Shabbos says that Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel agreed upon in the attic, and they were gozer that you can never go ahead and these 18 things they were gozer on. So what were they gozer on? On the bread of pas akum, the shemen akum, yayin akum, marrying the daughters of akum. Those are 18 things. It sounds like they were gozer that you can't have shemen akum and not Daniel. You can argue that Daniel made a gzera and nobody listened to him, and Shmuel and Hillel made a gzera, Shammai and Hillel made a gzera and everybody listened to him. Imkain mai asaduse de Rav. If Daniel made a gzera and nobody listened to him, so what's Rav coming along and saying that Shemen Akum is usher because of Daniel's gzera? What do you mean because of Daniel's gzera? Nobody listened to Daniel. It's usher because of Hillel and Shammai. Ela Daniel gazer lav be'ir va'asa inu v'gazer levi lebasada. No. Daniel was gozer ba'ir, and people listened. They came along, and what were they gozer? They were gozer that you can't do it even in the field. Because again, if it's because of chasnos, we said there's less of a reason to be worried about chasnos in the field. But we're saying that no, we have enough of a reason to be worried about chasnos even in the field. Therefore, you can't have their wine, you can't have their shemen, bain be'ir, bain be'field.
Isn't that a gzera on a gzera?
It's an extension. They're not being gozer on the field because of the year. They're being gozer on the field because of the chasnos. So if you're going to say that in fact, again, it was because of the gzera, so now it sounds like at this point the Gemara is saying that Rav will agree. Rabbi Yehuda Nasi came and he got rid of the gzera. So how did he get rid of the gzera of Shammai and Hillel and of Daniel? Ve'od, even if you are greater in Chachmanin and Ha'amar Rabba Bar Bachanam Rav Yochanan B'chol Yachol Levatel Beis Din Beis Din Chavero Chutz Mishmona Sadavar Shafilu Yavel Yov Beis Dino Ein Shamalo. Even if you want to say they can get rid of Daniel because they were greater in Minyan, you can never get rid of anything that Hillel and Shammai said. Rav Misharshe Matam Hoelu Pashad Isura Berov Yisrael Shemen Lo Pashad Isura Berov Yisrael. Fascinating. Why can't you get rid of something that was already gozer before? Because already it was gozer and then it was accepted in all of Klal Yisrael. But if it was gozer and not accepted in all of Klal Yisrael, you can uproot it. And Klal Yisrael didn't accept Shemen Akum. Says the Gemara, Amar Shmuel Bar Abba Amar Yochanan Yashra Rabbeinu Barku Al Shemen Shelo Pashad Isuro Berov Yisrael, and therefore Lamaisa they're able to get rid of it. But now the Gemara says just because people didn't accept it is not enough of a reason to get rid of it. It needs to be that they didn't accept it plus another factor. But some Churabosenu, there's another factor that they were able to get rid of it. Al Divrei Rashbag. Rabbi Elazar Bar Tzadok Shayu Oimrim and goes ring Zera Al Tzibor Ella Imkain Rov Tzibor Yachol and Lamudba. It wasn't just that they didn't accept the shemen; it's that they didn't accept it because they weren't able to live without it. They weren't able to live without the shemen of the goy. There was nowhere else to get oil, and you need oil to live. And therefore, with the combination of the fact that they didn't accept it, and they didn't just not accept it because they were being tough, they didn't accept it because they physically couldn't accept it because it was impossible to live without it. Those two things combined was enough of an ability, enough of a reason to be able to uproot the Gezerah.
So why didn't they accept it? Like, why was it such a...
They couldn't deal with it. Like there are places where you can't, the same pas, like we said yesterday, pas palter. You shouldn't eat it if there's pas oil. There's certain places there's just no Jewish bakeries. Certain places where there are no Jews that are making oil. You need oil to live.
So they have no choice.
They have no choice. So they weren't able to be... Now, again, if there was clearly Isser in it, then there's something else to talk about. But within this Manda Amar, we're saying that it was because of chasnos, so they weren't necessarily going to be able to hold it.
This is just oil to eat, right? This is oil to...
Everything.
To cook.
Well,
They need their oil.
This is cooking.
well, no, this is for cooking.
You're not eating it.
This
You
is
need
for
oil to
cooking.
cook.
This is...
No, the idea is b'chassidus, if you're interacting with them,
You're eating with them.
it makes no difference how you use it.
Cooking with them,
Makes no
too.
difference how you use your oil.
No, but the point is that your chasnos doesn't just mean that you can't do any business with them. Chasnos sort of seems like,
Sit down
right,
with
when
them,
we
eat
say
with them.
pasakum, it's that you're going to go, you're going
Break
to sit
bread with
down,
them.
you're going to eat with them, you're going
Wine
to...
with them, break bread
You're
with
gonna drink with them. It's not-
Eat
You
with
have
them.
fire. you use
Nobody
it.
ever said that you can't go to the gasoline station, and there's no such thing as going to the
No, but
gasoline
in those
station.
days it was different, right? You didn't have, if you sat at chassidus, you had oil on the table that was burning for candle.
Interesting. Well, it could be. It's definitely not usher.
I'm saying it wasn't just
Right. I'm saying, it's not going to be usher b'hana. That's the point. It's not going to be usher b'hana. It's only usher b'achila. The question is, are they going to be goes there for other things as well? Interesting. So it comes out again.
You're saying oil for light.
It comes out.
for life. That's what he's saying.
It comes out that
Light.
there's right for lights.
I meant life, but yeah.
You need oil for everything,
Not
right?
just cooking, you're saying.
Today
Right.
we think about it, cooking, but then they use it for...
They use it for everything, right?
Heat, light.
So it comes out that you have two different ways to look at this. Right? You have two different ways to look at it. You look at it that it's either usher because of chasnas. Then how can they overturn it even if it was Daniel? Even if it was Shammai and Hillel, because it was something that the Jewish people did not accept because they weren't able to live without it. Therefore, Rabbi Yehuda Nasi was able to overturn it. Or you could say it was because of the fact that they put it into Isser stuff. If they put it into Isser stuff, then we're saying the Metzias is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi overturned it because we're saying that we actually paskin no Saint Tam Lefkam is Asser. Therefore, even if they put it into their Kalim, it wouldn't be a problem. And Lamaisa, you can go ahead and use it. That's the entire daf. It's always good to sum up the daf. Says the Gemara. No Saint Tam Lefkam is mutter. Originally it was Asser, and in the end they said it's mutter. Elim came Rav Tzibur Chol Naba. Damar Avad Barava Mikra. What's the pasuk that you see that Elim came Rav Tzibur Yachol Lamud Ba? It says in Malachi, B'me'era atem ne'arim ve'osi atem kovim agoy kulo. You're involved with me'era. What's that, Rashi? Atem mekablim aleichem gzera ba'oror uveklala v'nesar aleichem. You basically accept upon yourself gezeras and say, if I don't keep this, then you can curse me. Ve'achar kach osi atem kovim gozlim. You steal from me. You rob me. Shatem shuv min ha'arurim. You're basically going ahead and you're promising to keep things and you're not keeping them. But what do you see over here? It's by hagoy kulo. Talking about keeping zeras and keeping things that the goy kulo are keeping. Ika goy kulo in, ilo lo. It's only a problem if it's the entire goy. If it's not the entire goy, i.e. the Jewish people, then there's no issue with overturning gzera. Fine. That's a new topic now. Gufa. Amar of Bali. This is Bali. Amar Avimi. Nuta. Mishmei derav. Like we said, the Pitan, Shmanan, Yenan, Uvno Sehen, Kulan, Mishmana Asar Davrain. Those are the 18 things that Shammai and Hillel decided. Benoseyan mahi. What does it mean that you can't have their daughters? Amr of Nachum bar Yitzchak Gazru al Benoseyan nidos me'ari susan. It's not just that you can't have relations with a non-Jew who's 18 years old. It's not just that you can't marry a non-Jew. You can't. There goes there on a Benoseyan from the time that they're in the arisa, from the time that they are in their cradle. You have to stay away from them. Ugniva mishmei de Rav Amar kula mishum avodos kochavim gazumen. Why can't you eat their bread? Why can't you have their wine? Why can't you marry their daughters? What was the whole problem? Is that we're worried you're going to get too intimate with them and you're going to serve avodas kochavim. Dechiyasa Rav Achabar Adam Rabbi Yitzchak gazu al pitan mishum yeshemnan. They were gozer on their bread because of their shemen. Mayu lima de shemen impas. What does that mean? Because of their shemen. Why is shemen better than bread? Ela al pitan ushmana mishum yenan. The reason you can't eat their bread and eat their oil is because of the yenan. Again, this is within the mandamar who says mishum chasnos. It's because of their wine. Bial yenan mishum benoseyan. Why can't you drink their wine? Because you're going to take their daughters. Bial benoseyan mishum davar acher. And you can't take their daughters because it's going to lead to davar acher avodah zara. Then they add val davar acher mishum davar acher. Then there's another level of davar acher. We'll see what that is. Says the Gemara, benoseyan deraisehi. What do you mean there was a gezerah that you can't take their daughters? There's a pasuk mefurish in the Torah that says you can't take their daughters. Lo tischatein bam. You can't marry them. Says the Gemara, deraisa zayin umos, aval sha'ar ove kochavim lo. No, mi deraisa you can't marry the zayin umos. The gezerah was that you can't marry any other of the nations. They came along and said that the other ovdei kochavim you can't marry. Well, Rabbi Shimon ben Yochai Amar ki Yasir as bin Chameacharai l'Rabos kol amesiros. Anybody that's moser, anybody who wants to go ahead and get you to become an idol worshiper, wants you to get you off the path. So it seems to imply even girls from the other nations. Ma'ika l'meimar ela deoraisa ishas derechas. So you're right that mi deoraisa it's talking about all ovdei kochavim, and you can't marry them, but that's talking about marrying them. You might think that even though it's not the right thing, our parents taught us otherwise, but in terms of a sin, a separate sin of znus with them, there's no inyan of znus, of just having a one-time relationship with them. Says in Gemara, that's the gezerah that even outside of marriage it's aser. But we already know that from the basin of shame. They're going to burn Tamar because of znus. You're right. It's whether it's in marriage or out of marriage. But deoraisa, it's only usher for a bas Yisrael to be with an ovei kochavim inside marriage, outside of marriage. Demashcha basrei, because the bas Yisrael is going to go ahead and follow the ovei kochavim man and then serve avodah zara. Aval Yisrael abal avodas kochavim lo, but a Yisrael man who comes on an avodas kochavim lo, because we're not worried that the avodas kochavim woman is going to pull him into avodah zara, which is interesting because we know that in the Torah by Midyan they clearly did do that. So that's interesting. So what was the Gezerah? The Gezerah was for Yisrael man to have even a one-time relationship outside of marriage with an avodas kochavim. Says Gemara, no. Good try. Yisrael abal avodas kochavim halach l'mosh mitzinahi. We know that also, that even a Yisrael with a non-Jewish woman is aser even one time outside of marriage. Halach l'mosh mitzinahi. De'amar mar haboal aramis kanin pogimbo. What's that? That's from the case of Pinchas. We know that a one-time thing with the aramid is aser, and you're allowed to kill him. Amarle, you're right. Deoraisa b'farhesa chemasa shaya. What's deoraisa? Deoraisa is man, Jewish woman with an avodas kochavim, man or woman b'farhesa. Inside marriage, outside of marriage, it's all included in deoraisa. But as long as it's b'farhesa in public, or like the case of Pinchas, where it was Zimri, where it was known by everybody, that's considered to be public. What was the Gezerah of Shammai and Hillel? That even if it's in private. Says Gemara, good try. But Sina Nami Beis Dino Shel Chashmonai Gazu. That was also already goes there. Dechiyas Rav Dimi Amar Beis Dino Shel Chashmonai Gazu. Yisrael Abal Avodas Kochavim Chai Mishum Nashga. Kiyas Rabin Amar Mishum Nashgaz. We already know that can't be what Shammai and Hillel was goes there. That you can't be Bitsina with an Avodas Kochavim outside of the context of marriage. That can't be the Zer. We know that that's us already anyway. What's Nashgaz and Nashga? Rashi. Why can't, again, this is assuming why you can't be with a avodas kochavim even outside of marriage, even if she's single. Nashka, gazur alein mishum nida dirabanan. Nida dirabanan, why? De'afagav de avodas kochavim ein dama mitame min haTorah sharehi kibehema. Even though a woman avodas kochavim is like a behema, and therefore her dam is not mitame, Chachamim gazru aleh. They still said al tznida you can't be with her. Why? Umishum shifcha you also can't be with her because of shifcha. Mishum avodas kochavim kilu mitzchatin ba'derech ishus. Umishum esish ish. He also can't be with her because of Eishes Ish. Be'ulas Baal Yeshlan Levnei Noach Tichsiv Hi Be'ulas Baal. We assume that every Avodas Kochavim woman is actually an Eishes Ish because we assume that she had Bia at least once. She was married halachically through that Bia, and therefore when she's with you, she's a married woman. We assume that every single one of them is a married woman, even when they're not married. V'Yisrael Hirgil Bakach. It's not actually the problem. So what's the problem? V'Yisrael Hirgil Bakach. The reason you can't be with the Avodas Kacham is because you're going to get used to this. Even though it's not asa to be with her ben nida because there's no nida, you're going to go be with her, and now all of a sudden you're going to go and be with Yisraelim who are nidas. And now you're going to go marry Jewish shivchas. Now when you're with her, you're going to go ahead and you're actually going to marry her. And even though she's not an Eishes Ish, quote unquote, you're going to come to go ahead and think it's okay to have an Eishes Yisrael. So it comes out that Nashga, and let's see what Nashga is. Nashga just adds a Zayin. As Rashi says, the Zayin is Nida Shivcha Ovas Chavim Zona. Shem Kohen hu yesh kamishum lav de zona v'lo lav mamish al gzeir mishum zona Yisrael shenivel al aser. That means it's not aser for a Kohen to be with a zona avodas kochavim because there's no such thing. But he can't be with a zona avodas kochavim because he might come to be with a zona who's a Jew. So again, it comes out that already at the time of Beis Dino of Chashmonai, there already goes there that a Jew, whether a man or a woman, cannot be with an avodas kochavim, even if she's single, even outside of marriage. Why? Because at the end of the day, Lamaisa, we're worried that if you're with her, you're going to then think that it's okay to be, even though she's not Nida, even though she's not necessarily a Shifcha, even though Lamaisa, she's not necessarily a Zona. We're going to assume, even though she's not necessarily an Eishes Ish, if you're with her, you're going to assume that you could be with a Jewish Nida, a Jewish Shifcha, a Jewish Eishes Ish, a Jewish Zona, and Lamaisa, you might end up actually marrying this non-Jewish woman. So it's all a gezerah that might lead to a Jewish woman, but therefore you clearly see that already at the time of Beis Dino Shel Chashmonai, they were goes there all of these things. So it comes out, let me just finish. So what is this over here? What exactly is left? There's nothing left for Shmuel, for Shammai and Hillel to have made a Gzeran. Says the Gemara, no. Ki gazu Beis Dino Shel Chashmonai bia, aval yichud lo. Vaseinu gazu afilu yichud. It means until that time, it was aser. And the only thing that was aser was bia, in the context of marriage, outside the context of marriage, man with woman, woman with man, whatever it was. By the end of the day, Lamaisa, they added that you can't even have yichud with her. Yichud nami beis dino shel David gazu. Good try, but yichud was already aser with a non-Jew. The Amar Rav Yehuda be'osa shah gazu al yichud. At the time of Yehuda of Avner and Tamar, they were already aser on. They already were oser yichud with a non-Jew. Avner and Batsheva. Amri Hasam Yichud de Bas Yisrael about Yichud Avodas Kochavim Lo. No. Over there, they said it's Aser to have Yichud with a Bas Yisrael. But Yichud with Avodas Kochavim was not yet Aser. V'Aser Inu Gazra Fila Yichud Avodas Kochavim. So what are Shammai and Hillel coming and adding? They're adding Yichud with an Avodas Kochavim. Says the Gemara, Yichud de Bas Yisrael de Raisi. You had a question, so it's going to keep going. Yeah. Shivcha. We're talking about a regular Jew. We're just making zera for a regular Jew in general. To be with a non-Jew is going to lead him to come to a shivcha.
So, but we have that he can do that. So
if he's an Eved Ivri. But a regular non-Jew is not allowed to marry a shivcha. So we're worried. We're making zera al sterov, al the regular Jews, that if they come to be with a non-Jew, then they're going to come to be with a shivcha.
But it says that he can do that. The ball can get a child next to Eved.
But it's only if he's an Eved, though. Not if he's a regular Jew. A regular Jew can't marry a shivcha. So we're making Gzeira. What questions we're asking? A regular Jew, we're making Gzeira cannot. One of the reasons that he cannot have a relationship with a non-Jew is because by having a relationship with a non-Jew who we're looking at as a shivcha, we're going to then assume that it's okay to have a relationship with a Jewish shivcha, which it's not.
It doesn't say the ball can do that. He's got an Eved. He can.
I don't think a regular Jew is not allowed to have a shivcha as a wife.
It wasn't to be that way, just to have a relationship.
I'm not sure a regular Jew is allowed to have a relationship with a shivcha.
Okay, I don't understand that.
Okay. Says the Gemara.
The wrong story. The David Amnon story is with the guy with his stepsister.
Right, but again,
he was sick, and then she came to see
right,
him,
but it's talking about Yichud Yisrael. So Shammai and
saying
Hillel.
before you said Tamar and Batsheva, David and Batsheva. It's not David and Batsheva. It's Amnon and Tamar.
That's what I said. Tamar. I was right.
But not the Yehuda Tamar, the other Tamar.
Right.
The David Tamar.
Right.
His daughter.
So I was still half right, just the other half.
It's a different Tamar.
Yichud Bas Yisrael Deraisahi. So we know that, understand, you're telling me that Shammai and Hillel came and said you can't have Yichud with an Avodas Kochavim, and you see that Yichud of a Bas Yisrael was Gazru by what? By the Beis Din Shel David. Yichud Bas Yisrael Deraisahi. We're talking about it's Deraisa that you can't have Yichud with a Bas Yisrael. Damar V'yochlam Mishum Rabbi Shimon ben Yehud Tzadok. Remez li Yichud min HaTorah minayin. Where's the Remesh? Nemar ki Yisidcha achicha ben imecha. What's Yisidcha? Mesis la'avodah zara. Causing you and leading you to avodah zarah. So your brother, who's the son of your mother, might lead you. V'chi ben ein mesis ben av eino mesis. Is it only the son of a mother that might lead you? It's not the son of a father. No, it's of course anybody can lead you. Ella, it says ben imecha to teach you something else. Ben misyached imimo. A ben can have yichud with his mother. Ve'ein acher misyached im kol arayos shebatorah. But a ben can have yichud with any other of the other arayos. Yichud doraisa deishes ish. So it seems like it's saying from this pasuk that you see that you can't have yichud with any of the arayos. So what exactly? Not only with your mother, but with any. You could have yichud with your mother, but not any of the arayos. So what are David being goes? You already know you can't have yichud with any of the arayos. Yichud deraisa de eshes ish. No, in the pasuk it was either eshes ish or any erva like your mother. Again, besides for your mother. Va'asa David v'gazra afilu yichud de pnuya. No, so David was goes. So again, in the Torah you can't have yichud with an eshes ish or one of the arayos. Comes along David and adds another level. You can't have yichud with.
Single one.
A pnuya. Comes along Talmidei Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, v'also Talmidei Beis Shammai Beis Hillel, v'gazu afilu yichud avodas kochavim. So again, in the Torah you can't have yichud with an eshes ish, a married woman, or one of the arayos. Comes along David Beis and it says not only an eshes ish or one of the arayos, even with a regular single woman, because a regular single woman is not included in one of the arayos. Again, assuming it's not your sister, whatever. But a regular single woman comes along the other base, and it says even a avodas kochavim is included in yichud. So now, back to what we said on the top. What does this mean that there's another davar acher? We said all these things are because of avodah zara. What else is there besides for avodah zara? Says the Gemara, Amar of Nachman Bar Yitzchak, Gazur al tinok oved kochavim, sheyidma beziva shelo yetinok Yisrael ragil etzel b'mishkav zachar. They made a gzera that a child of an oved kochavim, an oved kochavim child, will be mitame beziva. That means we make them into an avatuma, that if anybody touches him, a child of an oved kochavim, if another person touches him or a tinok Yisrael touches him, you become an avatuma right away. This child, you go into the hospital, you see a baby child of an oved kochavim, you touch him, you become an avatuma. Why'd they make this? A boy. Why'd they make this? Because they were afraid that Lamaisa, if you get too friendly with him, he's going to come to you and he's going to want to have mishkav zachar with you. Term of Zera Tsar Gadol Hal Yali, Eitzer Rabasi, Rabasi Eitzer Rabbi Yochanan, Rabbi Yochanan Eitzer Rabbi Yana, Rabbi Yana Eitzer Rabbi Nassim Aramam, Rabbi Nachman ben Amram, Eitzer Rabbi, Tinok Oved Chav Me'emasai Metam Bezima VaAmrali Ben Yomo. Except from the time he's born, Shabbat Eitzer Rabbi Chia Amrali. Ridiculous. What do you mean Ben Yomo? We're afraid that this little boy who's a Tinok is going to do something? No. Ben Tesh Shanim V'Yom Echad. 9 years old. Why 9 years old? Why 9 years old? Without looking at the notes in the article. Why 9 years old? Because that's when, not Pardas, that's when they're Royal Labiyah. We know that in general, by Royal Labiyah, a man is 9 and a girl is 3. That's when we say that they're Royal Labiyah. So a 9-year-old who's Royal Labiyah, as soon as an Avodas Kochavim becomes 9-year-old who's Royal Labiyah, now he becomes Tamei Ziva. If you touch him, you become an Avatuma because we want you to stay away from him because we're worried that if you become too friendly with a 9-year-old boy, he's going to approach you for Mishkav Zachar. That's the Davar Acher. That's an additional thing that we're worried about. Uchshabati v'ertzeiti b'divarai lifnei Rebbe Amarli hanach divarai ve'echos divar b'chia damar tina gavos chavim hemasai mitame beziva ben teisha shanim v'yom echad hoel v'roi libia mitame nami beziva. We'll just end with this. Amar Avina. Now we're going to extend it to a woman. Hilkach hatinokos avodas kochavim bas gimel shanim v'yom echad ho v'ruel lebiyah mitama navi beziva. So too by a woman, therefore, by a non-Jewish girl at 3 years old, so that's when she's going to be mitama beziva. Says Gemara Pshita, that's obvious. Mao desema hayadelir gule v'halo yadelir gule kamash malan. We had a little bit of a discussion what exactly this kamash malan is, but it sounds like what? You might have argued no. You might have argued that, yes, they're royal lebiyah, but what are we worried about here? We're worried about them coming and making a move on you, coming and forcing you to have relations with them, seducing you. So by a 9-year-old boy, we understand that because he's royal Labiyah. He's also 9 years old, and unfortunately, we know today especially 9-year-old boys are very mature, very old, maybe immature, but old enough to understand sexual relations. Therefore, a 9-year-old boy we understand. But a 3-year-old girl, just because she's royal Labiyah, means that we're worried that she's going to go. A 3-year-old is not going to go ahead and be active and try to seduce a guy. Kamash malan. What's a kamash malan? Sounds like we're going to make the gzeira on her, even though we may not be worried that she's actually going to seduce another girl or a Jewish boy. We're not necessarily worried, but we're making kamash malan a gzeira across the board, that just like by a boy, it's because he's royal Labiyah, and there we have a real metzias and a real reason to assume the worst, even though by a girl we don't necessarily have that reason to assume the worst. We're going to make a gzeira across the board. As soon as she's royal Labiyah, she will be metame ziva, and therefore, lamaisa, it comes out that according to this Gemara, if you touch an avodas kachavim girl over the age of 3 years old, or you touch an avodas kachavim boy over the age of 9, they are considered to be metame tama ziva, and in the days of the Gemara, you would become as if you touched a dead body, as if you touched an avatuma.